needs of the Tibetan community, and she writes with real passion, and I'm going to be reading a piece about the ability to be able to read stories and to have them heard when so many are not. So this is called Stock, and it starts with 3 quotations by Peter Handke. They are, if a nation loses its storytellers, it loses its children. Then, when the child was a child, it didn't know that it was a child. Everything was soulful, and all souls were one. And then finally, I couldn't say who I am. I haven't the remotest notion of myself. I am someone without antecedents, without a history, without a country, and on that I insist. And once upon a time is a stock phrase used to introduce a narrative of past events, typically in fairy or folk tales. It signals the start of a story. It is a stock phrase, a stock expression, stock as in a broth made by steeping bones, fee, fi, fo, fum, etc. Expression as in metaposcopy, a form of divination, as we all know, by which one attempts to predict personality, character, and destiny based on the pattern of lines on a subject's forehead. When you look at my face sometimes, for example, when I raise my eyebrows, 1, 2, there is the capital letter I fallen on its side. And when I frown, the letter W. If I lie on my side and frown, the letter W is a topsy-turvy capital E. You make me frown on my side and spell this out, the I, the W, the E. The practice of metaposcopy was banned by Pope Sixtus V in 1586. Stock expression, as in this joke shared between me and you and I. I've heard that the market crashed today, and I said, uh-oh, I better go check on my stocks. So I head to the backyard where the banker says, please let me out of these stocks. And I say firmly, frowning, no, you do not start jokes with once upon a time. A set phrase to set a story, then, is once upon a time. A set phrase, as in English, as in j'ai 7 fraises, I have 7 strawberries in French. I have 7 daughters, severe brides for 7 sons with 7 pairs of out-of-your-league boots in league cahoots with the old woman who lived in a shoe, a woman who shouldn't throw glass slippers nor red-capped shoes even if they are as red as 7 red strawberries, dwarfed and swarthy and dwarfed and halved and heavy as 1003 bears' bare-covered mattresses all propped up on a pea, frog green and kissed unto cinders in the East Riding Hood with a carpenter or a woodsman, depending on the translation, and the fact that I'm a real boy once above a time, spun out and in like a proposition in the here and now, spun out in text and textile, spindly and needle-pricked, sows before pearls, snow before gold, goats before bridges, tolls before trolls, all in red-hot shoes, and once upon a time when the stars were hot, best beloved, now cold, they glinted wish-warm in our blue, blue sky, flagging only a little, and they were not too hot, nor too cold. The stars were just right, and as a class we threw the jack of hearts and clubbed together and declined the word hopscotch as a noun. Hopsketch, hepscat, we hot-scorched in the snow once above a time, before the ovened candy house deep in the woods, before the pieces of 8, before the dwarves were dwarfed and elves were found to be elfin and finalised, before form itself, with a thumbprick in the forest timed us out, upon and beside ourselves. And you'll know that in English, the set phrase is traditionally once upon a time. In Albanian, once there was. In classical Arabic, there was, or wasn't in the oldest of days and ages and times, while in Armenian, there was and there was not. In Bengali, either once there lived a king, or in some country there was. And in Catalan, there was a time. And my best beloved, I would hold these 7 strawberries out to you for as long as the stars cool 7 leagues above us, while 7 leagues across the 7 seas, you or I nor we, in our safe hammock of this caesura, breaking the line on my forehead. In Chinese stories, it starts a very, very long time ago. And in Croatian, traditionally, there was a, and in Czech, there was and there was not, beyond 7 mountain ranges, beyond 7 rivers, while children, apparently in Esperanto, are told in a time already long past, when it was still of use to cast a spell, and in Estonian, behind 7 lands and seas, there lived a Filipino stock phrase that ran through a clearing, and it ran at the beginning of time, while in Finnish they begin with once there was. The brothers Grimm said, Es war einmal in den Zeiten, als das Wünschen noch geholfen hat. with apologies for translation. Who told the Brothers Grimm bedtime stories, I wonder, as they lay their young heads in their bunks, their foreheads spelling out I or we and recalling third-person narrations, while in modern Greek the set phrase is that this is an old story, while in Hungarian, once there was where there wasn't. Serbian stories begin traditionally, there once was one, and we learn that nothing's once was once singly or so long ago that long to be belonging to reach for what's lost, the clasp of a fede or gibel ring closing hands, one upon the other, taking strength and taking stock. And as we crane our heads to catch the story, cup our hands to catch, like burrs upon wool, we follow the breadcrumbs, release the 24 blackbirds, but count them as if they were magpies, counting down in our counting houses, losing or loosing the thread of our pronouns, spinning, weaving, woven, text like textiles, as 1,000 nights drawn into the chest, drawn apart like the curtains, drawn like the well, drawn like my drawn face, cast like your play, cast like a dice, like a spell, like bronze, or something as light as a story on your breath. And every night the wolves were wolving and huffing and puffing, and the dwarves were in sheep's plurals, and I cried wolf as wolves were wolving, and calves were carving with a dish and a spoon, and the dwarves were dwarving again, and fairies fouled in the far room in the starlight, in the bedtime, in the book heft, in the love-lorn, soft-lorn, bed-born boom time of the stove breath, stowed away my stock phrase is a changeling whisper, that if a nation loses its storytellers, it loosens, and that a nation will then tighten its grip on other books and ears and tongues, yours and mine. And time can only be onced so often, winced at or winched in so often, and if you only care to listen, best beloved, when you and I swap stories in the moonlight, in the soft light, in the sweet nothings and held somethings, and the hope is that you and I will leave together, not as one and not yet parted, and other stock phrases. Thank you very much.
Reading next will be David Spittle for Tutu.